Hey, welcome back. We're looking at the historical impact of Soli Deo Gloria and see what this teaching, this idea, affected. And I'm going to give you just two. There's a lot more we could go through. Time permitting, we'll do two. And so first, it became really a motto for the Christian life. Soli Deo Gloria would lead many Christians to devote their work, their accomplishments, what they do, to the glory of God alone. I mean, way back when Johann Sebastian Bach was writing his music, the great music person of of the church, and he would write the letters SDG on his compositions at the end of all his church compositions. Even some of his secular works, he wrote SDG to the Soli Deo Gloria. And we see that many schools throughout the history of, especially America, had adopted Soli Deo Gloria as their motto, their phrase that they were gonna, either found their school on or try to run their school by. For several decades, the 1 rand coin in South Africa had Soli Deo Gloria on it, which is very interesting. It was on the face of the 1 rand coin. And so this idea of the glory of Soli Deo Gloria kind of seeped into a lot of different areas of the world, as the Protestants were everywhere. The idea that all this has to be done to the glory of God. I can't write music. I can't, form a school. I can't, run a government without recognizing it's all to the glory of God. And that's how that's kind of impacted the history, especially of America. You can't look in American history without getting away from the idea that Soli Deo Gloria was there. It was to be done to the glory of God. And a lot of individual motivations of some of the great men and women of American history had this as their underlying thought. And then Soli Deo Gloria affected the view of work and vocation. The common view of work changed because of this idea. There had developed a stark distinction in most people's minds between sacred and secular in the common world back in the 1500s. By that time, there was this view of okay, I have all this, if I'm working, that's secular, and the sacred is only what you do for the church. So work or vacation was relegated to this idea of secular things, while things done in and for the church were seen as sacred. That's it. The Reformation, especially the writings of the Puritans that would come out of the Reformation period, would really change this idea. The idea that work that was done, whether it was in the church or not, could be done or should be done, really, for the glory of God. This helped people to see that they cannot compartmentalize parts of their lives that were sacred and then others that were secular, but really your whole existence ought to be lived to the glory of God. That goes back to what Paul said in 1 Corinthians, right? Whether eat or drink, those are mundane. Those would have been seen as secular things. It's not in the church, and therefore it's not sacred. It's not connected to the church, therefore it's not sacred. And that's the idea. And so really, Soli Deo Gloria, that idea really impacted America, and impacted that kind of Protestant work ethic. I'm doing this to the glory of God, and so I can't be a slacker. I gotta show up on time. I gotta do all these things, because that's the idea. I'm doing it for God, not for these people. Ultimately, the people are just the means by which I am really serving and glorifying God in my workplace, in whatever work it is. And it also means that it also affected the way that I'm going to do this work. And this work should be glorifying to God. So if I'm doing a work that's not glorifying God, that's not a work I should be involved in. Maybe that work shouldn't even exist then. And so that's the idea. So yeah, we'll end there for today. Come back next time. We'll take a look at the conclusion here and look at some practical applications for today.